Hello friends, Chillpill Games here, and today I'm going to create a moving behavior using my fancy behavior designer. Alright, so I'm going to behaviors, and I'm going to call it moving behavior because I'm so original. Create. Now what you see here is a basic template that server would create. This current behavior, all it does is just print the hello world message to the screen. That's not what I want to do. Today we're going to create something much more fancy. I will create a behavior that will make the ship move across the screen, and once it reaches its destination, it's going to print out some message. Alright, let's do this. Well, first of all, how am I gonna move it across the screen? I created this node called setDestination node. SetDestinationAction. This guy basically takes a parameter of a vector, which is the position on the screen vector parameter, and it orders the ship or whoever has this behavior to move towards that point. That's all it does. In this case, I think I'll just leave it 0, 0, which will be the center of the battlefield. Alright, so what's gonna happen if I just run this right now? The way the behavior tree works is the flow goes from the root, which is this node, and it will enter to the next node that it's pointing to, which is, in this case, we can call it setDestination. SetDestination will execute its command on the ship, and it will return success back to the root. On the next tick, so behavior executes every tick. This whole tree executes every tick. On the next tick, the root will again call setDestinationAction. On the next tick, it call it again, and so on until the game is over, which is not what we want to do, right? We only want to set destination once. So to do that, we need another parameter that would check if destination has been set. This is basic program, but now we can do it visually because we are retarded. Alright, let's see. I want a simple compressor, I don't know what they call them, but what I call it is an equality. It checks if two or more parameters are equal, and if they are, it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false, right? So before entering the setDestination behavior, which I'm just going to move out here, we're going to check if behavior has been set. So for this, I'm going to use two Boolean parameters. One will always be true. Let's say I'll just call it true for simplicity, and I set it to true. And the other one would be our dynamic parameter, which we're gonna update later on. And I'm gonna call it has behavior been set, or behavior set. And actually, this should be false because originally the behavior is not set. So if both of these are false, the equality will return success, and it will proceed to the next node, which is setting destination. Now once this is set, we want to update the behavior set variable to true. So the next execution, the next tick, this equality will return to false, and setDestinationAction will never call. So the way I do this is I have an assignment node. If I ever learn how to spell, assignment, what it does is basically assigns one parameter to another parameter. And what we want to do is we want to assign true to this. So where would we get true from? Well, we have to create another parameter. And this will kind of be our constant true. Set it to true, right? And what do we assign it to? We assign it to behavior set node. I know it looks totally ugly because I'm not a UI designer. Alright, let's move it like here. So what we're gonna see right now if I run this game is that it will execute set destination once, and after that it will never pass this loop, so it will work basically on a single thing. Let's try that. I go back to my test map editor. I go to inventory. I edit the NPC item, which is the ship, and I set its behavior to moving behavior. Update it. Now let's try running the game. Alright, running the game. Let's see what's gonna happen. Connect. This will load the test map, which I just updated. And we can see that the ship started moving. The red one is the red ship, is an NPC ship, and it moved once, it doesn't do anything anymore. Good. Alright, now something more fancy is to determine when the NPC actually reached the destination. How am I gonna do that? Well, let's see. I'll load up my behavior again. Alright, I have another node called getDistance. The getDistance node basically calculates this distance between a point and the item it's assigned to. In this case, the enemy ship. GetDistance to point, that's what it's called. Once we set destination, we only do that once, but after it has been set, we actually want to check the distance, and we want to keep checking that distance until that distance is smaller than our threshold distance, which would signal that the NPC has arrived to its destination. So let's see how we're gonna do this. On the first iteration, this will return a true. On the second iteration, it will return a false. So what I could use is probably here a node called selector. What selector node does is it can executes all its children in order until the first child returns a true. So its first cycle, it will execute this, and that would return true. If the second cycle, this would return false, so selector would proceed executing the next child, which is this one. And that's what we want to do. Alright, so let's see, get distance to a point. First of all, we need the point that we want to get distance to. We already defined this point as here. I can actually call it destination, which is a 0, 0. And we can actually assign it to the same parameter over here. So we are getting distance to destination point. This would obviously return a parameter called float parameter, which is basically the distance that we are trying to find out. I will call it distance. Once this gets distance, it will return success, and it will proceed executing everything else below it. In this case, what we want to probably do is use another logic operator, which is called less than. And we need another constant, which is probably going to be another float. And let's see, what distance threshold do we want to set? How about 5 units? I'll call it threshold. Oop. Not sure what happened there. Alright, like that. Like, what the hell is going on here? Alright, there are still some bugs that I need to figure out. Let's create this node again. Less than A, less than B. Right, and execution flow goes from the top to the bottom, like so. So we're trying to see if distance, which is set in the node above, is less than threshold, which is 5. And if that is true, basically saying that the ship has arrived at its destination and probably want to send some sort of a message. And I can do this by doing a message. It will print a message on top of the ship. What message do we want to print? Well, create a string parameter. String parameter. Assign it value of I have arrived. Right. Kind of like this. And this looks so freakishly ugly, but I am not sure what I can do right now with this. Okay. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Okay, so I'll update this thing. And hopefully this will work. Alright, let's try running again. Let's see what's gonna happen. Are you excited? I'm excited. Enter the battle. Alright, we are moving to the position. Haha! Oh no, what's going on? It's spamming the message. There is one thing I forgot. There is one thing I did forget to do. So when the message has been executed the first time, it will return true. Which means the next tick, it will enter this tree again, it will proceed like so. This will be false still because I'm not updating that anymore. It will enter here. It's still less than, and it will execute this again. It will return success. It will repeat this over and over and over every frame basically. There is one thing we could do here is we could add a stop node. Stop node. What that does, it basically tells the behavior tree that this is the last node in its execution. Do not execute anything else. Like basically stop the execution, we are done with this tree. And that will let us print the message only once. Let's try that. Connect. Alright, we're moving. I have arrived, it's only printed once. The tree is no longer executing because we don't see any message spam. And success. I get a cookie.